Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill late Saturday night. Lincoln Riley and USC, they dominate Michigan. That was one of the best versions that we've seen of USC in a very long time. And Dill, I would go as far to say one of the most complete performances that we've seen from Lincoln Riley and USC during Lincoln Riley's tenure. And it felt like a program-defining win. Dill, there were a lot of USC fans that treated this game like a playoff game. Like there felt to be a lot riding on this matchup. And boy, did Lincoln Riley and USC get their back off the mat, because that was a disappointing loss on the road against Illinois 2 weeks ago, where USC got bullied. And there were a lot of people, including myself, that expected Michigan to go on the road and maybe be the bullies once again. Dill, USC, they were the bully tonight. Now, I want to start with this. To the USC fans, number one, let it fly in the comment section. Number two, the amount of support that this fan base has shown the boys for really the last couple of years, even after some really frustrating losses, man, it's been amazing. And many of y'all know the boys are Michigan fans. And Dill, I told you this before we went live. Look, if Michigan was going to get their tails whipped, at least it's at the hands of USC, because this fan base has been so good to the boys. So we appreciate you guys. Let it rip in the comment section. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, where you want to start with this one?
I mean, it's probably got to be what Lincoln Riley did to Wink Martindale on the offensive side of the ball. Like it just felt like everything USC wanted to get to worked, and Michigan were on their heels pretty much all game. And it wasn't just a passing attack. It was the rushing. It was the screens. It was the downfield attack. Everything Lincoln Riley drew up, and even down like his top two running backs, it didn't matter. Everything just worked.
Okay, King Miller, man. This kid's a stud. And also, I'm kind of mad at the USC fans. The amount of times we've talked about King Miller, nobody mentioned his twin brother is Kalen Miller, who's the backup center. Like, Dill, that's crazy. Did not put two and two together right there. Was kind of disappointed in myself. You are so right, though. You know, if there were two matchups that USC won the most, number one was Lincoln Riley versus Wink Martindale. This was a team that was just more prepared than this Michigan defense. And Dill, we talked about that in the preview. Like that chess match between what I think is the best play call in the country and Lincoln Riley, what I thought was one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, Wink Martindale. Lincoln Riley won that 10 times out of 10. Now, the second part of it, and the most surprising, and as a Michigan fan, the most disappointing, and this is what should fire the USC fans up the most, is, I mean, Dill, USC beat Michigan at their own game, right? You know, if you talked about the avenue for Michigan to win this football game, dominate the run game, dominate the time possession, both of which USC won on the night. You look at the box score and say, Dill, USC ran the football for 224 yards, averaged 6.2 yards per carry, had the football for 33 minutes in this one. Not stuff you had on your bingo card. Dill, this was the first time Lincoln Riley said in the press conference, I'm sorry I'm talking long, Lincoln Riley said that was a Big Ten team that just whipped some tail.
And he was able to commit to the running attack, and it was working all night. He was able to stick with it, because that was like a frustrating avenue at times last year where you felt like, man, we're running the ball pretty well, and it's just you're not willing to stick with it. And like pretty much wall to wall, Lincoln Riley was very comfortable running it. And again, it didn't matter when Wayman Jordan went down. It didn't matter that Sanders wasn't playing either. He stuck with the run game. And that's like an underrated part of his game as an offensive coordinator. That rushing attack that he had schemed up against Michigan was nails. Like again, their offensive line played well, but like there were a lot of just plays where it was scheme beating that Michigan team.
Yep. I think a lot of USC fans would agree with what you just said. Now, the big frustration a lot of USC fans had coming out of 2024 is, Lincoln, we know you can dial up the run game. You just refuse to stick to it. You saw USC dial it up, and Dill, you saw USC when things maybe got a little bit hairy with Jayden's pick late in the second half, and then Andrew Marsh goes and scores a touchdown. And look, was Michigan ever really in this game in the fourth quarter? No. But when things because I know damn well some of the USC fans listening to this after Andrew Marsh took that one to the house said, kind of maybe puckered a little bit, right? What did Lincoln Riley do? Responds with the run game, said, hey, we're going to lean on the run game to go close this one out. And gosh darn it, it worked. And Dill, here, you mentioned the offensive line. I think we have to focus a little bit more on that. Number one, they did this without Elijah Page, who I think might be the best left tackle that you see in this conference. Number two, Tobias Raymond, I believe, played left tonight, right? Justin T on he kind of reformed this offensive line, and I thought it was really clean, not only in the run game, but keeping Jayden clean. And you knew Wink was going to get really creative with those blitz packages. And shout out John Ray Reed. The backup center having to communicate and get this offensive line in the right protections. I didn't see any problems with USC center tonight either. You got to give a lot of credit. Dill, I'll let you take it away with Makai Lemon because we're 5 minutes in. We haven't even mentioned him.
And he's just such a problem. He's been a problem every game.
Code, man.
Going back to last year, it's just when the ball's in the air, it's his. He's so good with the ball in his hands as a runner. Talk about most complete wide receiver. I know everyone's going to always talk about Jeremiah Smith, but I'm not sure the gap is incredibly big.
Screw it. I'll say it. I'll say it. I'm feeling myself on a Saturday night. I'm drinking a cup of coffee right now. I'll say it. He's the best wide receiver in the country right now. If you ask me, you might push back on it, but Dill, if there's a wide receiver I need to build my offense around, the ways you can use Makai Lemon. And Dill, here's the other thing. It's hard to describe, but the USC fans see it too. Man, it's like the if factor. Whenever we need a play in the biggest moment, Makai Lemon's getting open or making a contested catch or making something happen after the catch. There are so many different ways you can use him. There are so many different ways you can put him on the football field. He was the best player on the field tonight and came up in a lot of big ways. Now, do you want to switch over to the defense? What a response from Coach Lynn and this USC defense. And Dill, to me, it started up front, right? I thought Michigan was going to have their way with USC's defensive line after what we saw against Illinois 2 weeks ago. Thought this unit played really darn well. And I give Danton Lynn a lot of credit to say, hey, Michigan's going to trot out some 12 personnel. Screw it, we'll play 3 backers. And I thought Eric Gentry was really good. I thought Desmond Stevens maybe had.
He really was the one that, because Eric Gentry's been good for a little while now. I kind of expect that performance from him. Desmond Stevens making the plays he was making was the big one. Because, frankly, I thought the Illinois game, you'd probably say, was a big problem. Desmond Stevens did not play particularly good. There were some plays where he was getting in the backfield, being really disruptive. And that's where it started. They were able to get a handful of negative plays. And you knew if they were able to get negative plays against this Michigan team, that was going to be a huge problem. And they were able to generate them.
We talked about this when USC lost 2 weeks ago on the road against Illinois. It felt like USC, that whole entire football game, was on their heels, right? Illinois was winning on 1st down, and it was 2nd and 6, and it was 3rd and 2, and we're moving the chains. And, Danton Lynn never got into that opportunity where he could be the aggressor. That USC defense won on 1st down a decent amount, and they went out and hunted and gave a lot of different blitz packages, knew they had a true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood, and Dill, you could tell Bryce was off his spot most in the night. And I think it starts with what you said, winning on 1st down, giving that this is a very good pass rush unit. Pete, there were USC fans that said after that Illinois game, well, USC's pass rush ain't as good as we think it was. That's not true. They just didn't have the chance to get after it in the pass rush because they couldn't stop the run. Dill, this year, they did a very good job stopping the run, gave themselves those opportunities. They got after the quarterback in a big-time way. And I'll say this, I know Michigan's not trotting out world beaters at the wide receiver position, but I thought the secondary was pretty damn good.
It was opportunistic because that, again, you probably know it's not going to be a particularly strength of this USC team.
Yeah, sure.
That's where, a guy like Bishop Fitzgerald, if he's got his chance to take the ball away, he's got to make those plays. And obviously they were able to do it. So that to me is kind of where USC's got to be. They got to be able to be disruptive with that front 7 and just be opportunistic in the back end. Because, again, it's not going to be the greatest unit in the country. I think we just know talent's talent. They don't necessarily have it right now, but they can be opportunistic if that front 7 can create some chaos.
Yeah, and you saw them get back to that tonight. Any other storylines that you want to point out? I kind of want to introduce the conversation of USC going on the road and playing Notre Dame next weekend. Because all of a sudden that becomes, and Dill, I'll say this game, Michigan USC, and maybe it's because I'm a Michigan fan, I get a lot of Michigan stuff on my Twitter. this felt like the game that everybody was talking about over that Georgia-Auburn game and over that Florida-Texas A&M game. This felt like a big game with a lot of national media attention. And USC, historically has not shown up in these kind of games the way you'd want them to. Thought they showed up in this one. What is your early take? And we'll probably preview this football game tomorrow night. USC on the road playing Notre Dame. What is your early take on that one?
I mean, it's like we've seen Notre Dame not be the greatest at the tackle spot. That to me is where USC, they're going to need to be after it. Like Braylon Shelby is going to need to play the type of game he was playing. Cam Crawford's going to need to play the type of game he was playing. Yeah. And frankly, I like being a little bit more aggressive with your blitz packages. That to me was a big difference probably than what we saw in that Illinois game where it felt like a little bit more passive. I think like go take your chances, go try to be aggressive. And Notre Dame certainly probably a better passing attack right now than Michigan and probably just a better offense in general than Michigan right now. But if you're USC, I think he can live playing the way they were playing.
Why can you live by that way, though? Like, here's my question. Why do you feel so comfortable living that way? Because you have an offense that, all right, if you give up an explosive play, hey, we can go respond and score, right? You want to go out on your sword a little bit. You don't want to go out with Illinois controlling that game and controlling the tempo of that game the whole time. You want to play the game on your terms. And it felt like USC was okay doing that tonight. How would you grade Jayden's performance tonight? Because I think that's another storyline. Jayden's been one of the best quarterbacks in the country to start 2025. I don't think he was particularly great tonight, and USC still fit. Well, I don't know. Is that even
Well, he had the one play.
Outside of that
pick was like disgusting, and I don't know what he was exactly thinking.
Really bad.
But aside from that, I thought he was pretty dialed. Like, ball was coming out of his hands really quickly. He wasn't letting Michigan's defensive line impact that game. I thought he was pretty good.
That you are probably right, because now that I think about it, he only had that one pick that was really that was 2024 Jayden. And look, to Jayden's credit, you haven't seen that much from this kid at all. He's just trying to do a little too much, and I'm sure Lincoln Riley will talk to him about that. High-level throws, man. He had one to Jacoby Lane on like a little post corner-ish maybe. And, I mean, we've seen Jacoby Lane come down with that. It was a really good throw, just couldn't connect. Throw to Makai Lemon was absolutely money. Like our true freshman quarterback or cornerback, Jaden Sanders, played that about as well as you could. Thought Jayden was really, really sharp. And again, here's the other thing, like the complementary offense. You had 265 yards throwing the football. You had 224 yards running the football. That's really conducive to Jayden having success. Like you give him a run game, Jayden can lean on and not feel the need to be Superman. It's when you get the best out of this kid. I thought that's what you saw.
And frankly, that's like you get the best out of every quarterback. You run the ball, you do your quarterback a ton of favors. And that, like, again, Lincoln Riley, like being able to commit to that for a whole game wire to wire, I think you can see how dangerous this offense can be. Yeah,
I think I would agree with that. Let's close it out, and we'll say this, because I was watching this game from a fan perspective. I ain't even going to lie about it. So we'll go back and watch this tomorrow morning. And I do kind of want, and to the Michigan fans who might be listening to this, we go and talk to Michigan side of things too, you best believe. I do want to kind of go back and watch this game again, though, because I think there are a lot of storylines that we're probably missing. So we'll go grade out some players tomorrow. To the USC fans who are tuning in, appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Congratulations on the win, unfortunately. We're going to talk to y'all later. Peace.